Unfortunately, I think the fact that Black people have a lack of identity contributes to lack of self-awareness. So I remember I was talking, someone had mentioned that they were teaching, a teacher at a school in Connecticut was teaching like K through second maybe on Black history, and the parents were upset about it. And I was explaining to her that a lot of Black people do not identify with a place because most of us don't know. So it's hard to kind of identify your struggles and your needs when you don't have self-awareness of yourself.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about what you mean when you say like Black people don't have an identity?
Thinking back to when we had to do Where I'm From projects in maybe first, second grade, my mom and I were sitting in the kitchen for hours because we had no clue. Like, I knew I had ancestral background from Antigua,
Right.
but I knew I was from St. John's, the capital, but I had never been. I had eaten Johnny cakes, which is Antiguan food, once. I didn't have Antiguan family members who were still alive. So there was a disconnect for me when it came to identifying with my Antiguan side. So I was like, okay, I'm Black. And also, in terms of lack of identity, Black people have gone through identifying as Black, African American, Negro, and all of the above because we don't know. We didn't have that comfort in who we were because for so many years we were taught to not have comfort in ourselves. We're now trying to work on it. The younger generation, we all definitely have more knowledge, resources, and awareness of our mental health, and I feel identity with a lot of us.
I definitely agree with what you're saying in terms of like speaking for myself. I think that I really got to know myself and my identity, like of where I'm at now this summer. But my personal struggle growing up was being Brazilian, so I, would fit with like the Latin group, and I spoke Portuguese, so I understand. My parents take me to Brazil every couple of years to visit my grandma and my aunts that lived there, so I have that. But it's so different because like the American Brazilians aren't the same as like the Brazilians in Brazil. And then being here, I didn't grow up with like the same cultures or I guess same customs as Black Americans did. So there's a disconnect between that because my parents are immigrants. What makes me me, what makes me Isabella, what makes me Brazilian, what makes me Black. And so definitely like taking care of myself was kind of like the first step into figuring out like my identity. I haven't seen my curls probably, this summer was the first time in like 10 years. I forgot what my curl pattern was.
Right.
And that was like insane to me because that's something that, I'm proud of. I'm like getting teary. I'm proud of it now. But when I was younger, it was hard because we didn't have representation.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
But thinking about the Brazilian culture, I know there's a representation of Black Brazilians, but it's not broadcasted. You see
At all.
A lot of lighter complexion Brazilian women who are, I'm not familiar with the name of like the dancing heritage, but a lot of them are like they are highlighted as the women with lighter complexions.
Oh yeah. If you even think of like the Brazilian like keratin hair treatment, it's literally made in Brazil, which all of us have curly hair there, and it's to make your hair straight. And so it's like we have been a huge role, or played a huge role into like the beauty standards or the known beauty standards. And so I think that's why my hair is so important to me now. Yeah.
I think so much of just like coming to yourself and like understanding what your identity is as a Black American, as a, Black Latina, or just what have you, is so personal, right? And I think the harm that is inflicted on Black and brown people when it comes to like the stripping away of culture, the stripping away of identity, the stripping away of representation is so deeply harmful and impactful, right? And then now like dealing with all of those messaging and then coming to an age where you're unpacking that and you're realizing, I haven't seen my curls in 10 years. I don't know how I identify. I don't know, a lot about my cultural heritage, right? And I think a lot of that are ways that systems show up and how it impacts how we identify. And it's just such a deeply personal experience, and there's no end date. right? There's no end date. It's something that continues.